The Chicago Sky are currently in a 4-game losing streak. And if you look even further than that, they've lost 6 out of their last 8. We're going to talk about the things that have gone into that, how the team can improve, where the team currently stands, and what's going on with Kahleah Copper. We'll get into all that and more right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
What's going on, Sky fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Sky related and WNBA related. With that said, I'm the host here. You can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform. But let's go ahead and get into it for today, right? So the Sky are in the middle of a 4-game losing streak, and Coach James Wade had this to say: "We've lost 7 straight and won a championship the same year. We don't turn on each other in Chicago. We just weren't good. I wanted to find players that were good." And so when you look at the fact of, and that last quote was in the last game, in which 2 minutes into the game, he subbed out almost all the starters and brought in Dana Evans, Morgan Birch, and Taylor Sewell. But with that said, right now the Chicago Sky are struggling. It is what it is. And the injuries have caught up with the Chicago Sky, losing the intensity. At times, the Chicago Sky's energy is just off. And some of that is due, not to blame it completely on, but it's due to their star player, Kahleah Copper, just not having, especially in the last game against the Washington Mystics, scoring her season low, only 8 points. But right now, the Chicago Sky need to rediscover that energy, that edge that we saw them have at points to start the season, right? Yes, they had tons of injuries. Getting Mo Birch back is going to be a huge uplifting part for the Chicago Sky's roster. Hopefully Dana Evans continues playing a little bit better as well. But when you look at the Sky's last couple of their last 4 losses, right? Losing to the Los Angeles Sparks 77-62, losing to the Las Vegas Aces 93-80, losing to the Indiana Fever 92-90 in a game that they should have won, and then losing this past Sunday to the Washington Mystics 77-69. Overall, the Sky just are not playing the brand of defense that we saw from them early in the season. They aren't really coming together offensively that I hope that they would have by now. And there's just tons of things missing right now from this team, and that edge just is not there. Whereas this team came into the season playing with that edge that's indicative of a Chicago team. We have not seen that for the last handful of games. We've seen glimpses of it, right? But we have not seen it consistently for a while there. Marina Mabry's been a little bit off as well with her shot selection and things like that. And this team is just right now lacking the necessary energy to win these games. And overall, you can look at James Wade's coaching and making adjustments there. You can look at the injuries. There are a lot of things that are playing right now out of the Sky's favor, I should say, in which they're just not executing well enough to win these games. And even Morgan Birch returning in the last game, in which she did, leading the Chicago Sky in scoring with 16 points, just was not enough either to get the Chicago Sky back to looking like the team that could have made some noise this WNBA season. They've also moved down the power rankings to number 10 or 11. Can't remember off the top. Power rankings are it is what it is during the season. But overall, we are just not seeing what we need from this team. And a big part of that is what is going on with Kahleah Copper, right? I am not in any way blaming everything on Kahleah Copper. But when you look at her missing the game against the Fever due to personal reasons, coming back against the Mystics, only scoring a season low 8 points, there seems to be something going on with Kahleah Copper. And I know some people are going to say, well, maybe she's not the number one. And now the fact that she's thrust into a position, being a number one, being the de facto leader, she's not adapting to that well. And when you look at the numbers, they may support that, may not, depending on how you look at it. So far in 11 games played so far for Kahleah Copper this season, she's averaging a career high 15 shots per game, but she's hitting that at a 41% clip, one of the lowest percentages she's had since 2019, right? When you look at it, it's 7 percentage points less than last year, in which she was 48% overall from the field. So far from three-point range, she's taken more, 3.7, a little bit more than what she took last season, shooting that at a higher clip of 39% as well. But overall, she's just not shooting free throws at a clip like she did last year, 75% on free throws, which is not horrible by any stretch of the imagination. But when you look at her numbers in the championship season, she was an 81% free throw shooter that season. Now, again, it's an extremely young season. She's averaging some of the highest minutes that she's had in her career on top of that. And maybe it's just the fact that she just needs a little bit more help, right? She's also averaging the highest points per game total of her career at 16.4. She's also averaging 5.2 rebounds per game, which is the second highest, I believe, of her career. So it's not, everything is not bad, but there are some efficiency things there that definitely stand out. And it could be due to the higher workload. It could be due to the fact of this team is still figuring out their combination and their momentum as a team offensively. But right now, there's enough cause for concerns with Kahleah Copper and other players' games. I don't want to just make this just about Kahleah Copper disappointing. And, and I wouldn't even call it a disappointing season. It's just that it's not as efficient as we would like from Kahleah Copper. But you can say the same thing even from a player like Courtney Williams, right? Courtney Williams only averaging 7.2 points per game, which she's never been just a huge scorer per game or anything like that. But you look at, she's averaged double-digit points per game since 2017. This is her lowest points per game total since her rookie year in 2016. She's shooting the ball not too effectively either, 32%, which is the lowest again since her rookie season, right? So that is another cause for concern. Courtney Williams came into the season with the Chicago Sky really expected to be that dog mentality, and for a while there she was scoring big points in the fourth quarter, her game itself hasn't really rounded out, right? And Marina Mabrey, who I talked about before as well, who, the point guard of this team, a player that, we gave up a lot for as well. She was a little bit slow to start the season to really kind of find her groove, which was to be expected, but she's averaging 17.5 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and we already know she has not done kind of what we expected either. Shooting the three ball at a decent percentage at 36%, 43% from the field overall, which is actually one of the highest in her WNBA career, and also taking the most shots in her WNBA career as well. I think when you look at the Chicago Sky's difficulties right now, it just comes down to a team that is still figuring it out. And they've had so many major injuries to their team as well. Rebecca Gardner going down is a huge loss for the Chicago Sky, right? And when you have players like Elena Smith who stepped up valiantly, Mo Birch who stepped into that starting role early on and played really good in that role as well, these are not players that you expected to be depending on as much as now that you have to with Isabel Harrison being out. And so ultimately, when it comes down to the Chicago Sky, I really just think that it's just going to take time to work some things out. We had those great flashes defensively to start the season and had that great defensive intensity to start the season as well, but it's left in a sense. And we still got to, I think seeing how the Chicago Sky started the season, right? We're still fourth in the league in blocks, right? High up there in efficiency overall, things like that. But I think when the Chicago Sky started the season in a way that we didn't expect to see them coming out that way, right? They're seventh in the league in overall field goal percentage. So again, not the bottom, they're in the lower half of the league for sure, with there only being 12 teams, but it's just it's something that's just missing. And when you watch this team, it's hard to put your finger on it and quantify it down to just one thing, but they're definitely missing something. And that's what we need to look at as well. The Chicago Sky as well, 13 turnovers per game as a team. You want to see that get down as well. Their field goal percentage overall in the league, they're the 7th team as far as field goal percentage. They're towards the middle of the pack as far as three-pointers made per game as well. 3-point percentage, also they're 3rd in the WNBA in that. So you look at some of those things, and these are things that they can obviously work on. They're not taking a lot of three-pointers and things like that, but overall, the Sky just have to figure out their thing. And as they go to figure out their groove, hopefully getting players back more healthy, it helps with things like that. And we see this team get back to being that team that just has that energy, has that it factor, has that grit, has that determination. And as they get back to that, hopefully we start seeing the wins come with that as well. Now, one player that I talked about a little bit was Morgan Birch, who led the team upon her return. But she said this, and I love the mindset, right? Saying this, I'm not going to go out there and be fragile. I'm going to still try and play my game because that's the only way to get back into it. And so when you look at the extended amount of time that she's had being out, for her to come back, lead the team in scoring in a game that we lost, albeit, but she has the right mindset, and you expect her to be able to get back hit the court running, and get back to being the productive player that she was before the injury. We need her. And that's really what it boils down to right now. We need more Morgan Birch to be able to perform off the bench. We need that. Whether she gets back into the starting lineup or not, Elena Smith's played damn good in that role more times than not. So either way, between the two of them, I like the two-headed monster there, but they're going to have to weather the storm. They're going to have to rebound. They're going to have to be active on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to need that as this team tries to now hopefully dig themselves out of this 4-game slide that they've seen themselves on. And I think that they can do it, right? I know that, a lot of naysayers that came into the season doubting the Sky, of course, doubting us even more so now. But I hope that we can get back on track, playing against Washington and Connecticut this week. So the Mystics game is on Thursday at 8 p.m., and then we play on ESPN3 on Sunday against the Connecticut Sun. So make sure you guys are tuned in for that. Let's keep supporting this team. Let's hope that this team to get back on track to playing like the way that we saw at the beginning of the season. But all right, let's go around the W real quick. There's a few news items there. First up, Chelsea Gray dropped something that I did not expect to hear about the WNBA, and it surprises me every time. Talking about the fact that when she was recruited last offseason by the Las Vegas Aces, how it was the first time she really went on her tour with the team, met a team in person. And while that's commonplace in the NBA, I'm a little bit shocked to find that it's not as common in the WNBA, especially for marquee free agents, right? And she talked about how getting to go there, visit that team, it really did help her in her decision to go to the Las Vegas Aces, in which she eventually won a title with. So I think as the WNBA continues to look at things, how to grow their game, how to just be a better organization or a league overall, I think more teams meeting with, whether it's you flying out to them, having them fly out to you, which charter flights are a whole different story, right? But having that and meeting with players in their face, giving them a tour, walking around your building, your facilities, whatever it is, I think that can help. And I think more teams don't need to take the negative side of the rumors that's going on with how the Aces recruit free agents, but having players come in and visit with those players, treating those players like the world-class athletes that they are, I think that can go a long way. And I think that's something that a lot of organizations can look at as they go forward and try to get out free agents. But let's go ahead and end the show on this. Breanna Stewart makes history. Stewie, the best player in the WNBA, right? Who is the first WNBA player to score 200 points, 100 rebounds, and 40 assists in the first 10 games of the season. Breanna Stewart and the New York Liberty are on a path, it looks like, to the WNBA Finals, looking like an amazing team. I know they had the whole thing where I can't remember who said it that, they may not lose another game this season, and they ended up losing. Oh, no, that was the Aces. My bad. But overall, the New York Liberty are looking like a great team, the team that they shaped up to be on paper. And, while I'm a Sky fan through and through, when you see the New York Liberty 7-3 on the season, only behind the Connecticut Sun and the Las Vegas Aces, this is going to be a fun WNBA season, and I think Stewie ain't done breaking records yet. But all right, that's enough. That's my time. Make sure you guys are following the show at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoSkyCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Sky and WNBA related. And I'll see you guys the next time we go to Skytown. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.